On July 19, 2008, there was a new MMA promoter on the block, Affliction. Previously known mostly as the makers of gaudy, pricey t-shirts, officially got into the fight game with its very own pay-per-view event dubbed Affliction Banned. Now, the name of the event was a reference to the clothing company being banned from the UFC earlier that year, when the UFC first got wind that Affliction clothing executive Tom Atencio might be planning to start his own MMA promotion. And banning Affliction was actually a big deal at the time. Tons of big-name fighters, including George St. Pierre, Randy Couture, Chuck Liddell, they had all repped Affliction on their fight night gear. Those shiny t-shirts with the skulls and the chains and whatnot, those were everywhere in the MMA scene back then, both on fighters and on fans, which might explain how Affliction was suddenly able to start snapping up free agent fighters left and right. Fedor Emelianenko, Tim Sylvia, Josh Barnett, Andrei Arlovsky, Matt Lindland, Ben Rothwell, the list just went on and on. These guys weren't trying to start small and build up from there. They jumped in with both feet, paying comparatively huge salaries right out the gates. They also partnered with, or at least borrowed the name value of future US President Donald Trump, though he appeared to do little more than host a press conference at Trump Tower and then show up to pose for pictures at the event. The UFC initially shrugged off the efforts of Atencio, a man Dana White once dismissed as t-shirt guy, but he was at least worried enough to counter-program that first Affliction pay-per-view with a Spike TV Fight Night event headlined by Anderson Silva. But was the middleweight champs move up to light heavyweight enough to drown out all that star power on the Affliction card? The 10-fight card went down at the Honda Center in Anaheim, and it kicked off with a brief live performance by Megadeth, which tells you something about who Affliction saw as its target audience. And for those who paid the money to watch, it was a show worth seeing. 3 heavyweight bouts topped the card, with Fedor, Affliction's crown jewel, trucking Tim Sylvia in 36 seconds in the main event. All in all, it was a bold first effort that cost a ton of money, but it did succeed in establishing Affliction as an instant real player in the MMA space. For a brief time. Then it would all come crashing down just a little over a year later, but that's a story for another day.